The 5 things seniors must rely on instead of family. Let me tell you something I wish I had understood much earlier in life. As we grow older, one of the hardest truths we have to accept is that we cannot always depend on our family to be our source of happiness, health, and peace. That doesn't mean our children don't love us. It doesn't mean our family doesn't care. Life simply changes. Children become busy with their own families. Friends move away, become ill, or pass on. Sometimes the people we love most are still there, but they simply can't be available whenever we need them. I've lived long enough to see this happen again and again. And I've learned that the happiest older people aren't necessarily the ones with the biggest families. They're often the ones who have built a life they can depend on themselves. So today, I want to share 5 things that can become your own foundation as you grow older. And I'm going to start with something that took me many decades to understand. Number 1 is emotional resilience. When I was a younger man, I thought being strong meant hiding your feelings. I thought you had to keep your chin up, never complain, and simply push through whatever life put in front of you. But age has taught me something very different. Real emotional strength isn't about pretending that nothing hurts. It's about being able to feel pain without allowing that pain to take over your entire life. And believe me, as we get older, life gives us plenty of reasons to practice this. We lose people we love. We retire from careers that once gave us purpose. Our bodies change, children move away, friends disappear from our daily lives. There are evenings when the house becomes very quiet and you suddenly feel the weight of everything you've lost. I've had those evenings myself. What I've learned is that you don't always have to run away from those feelings. Sometimes you can simply sit with them. You can say, yes, I'm lonely tonight. Yes, I miss that person. Yes, this hurts. And then take a breath. You don't have to solve everything immediately. You don't have to call someone just to make the feeling disappear. You can let the feeling exist without letting it become your identity. I once knew an older woman who lost her husband after more than 50 years of marriage. For months, evenings were incredibly difficult for her. But slowly, she began finding her own way forward. She started walking again, reading, meeting a friend for coffee, and allowing herself to laugh without feeling guilty. One day, she told me, I finally learned that grief can stay in my heart without taking over my whole life. I've never forgotten that you can miss someone and still enjoy your morning coffee. You can feel lonely and still be grateful for a beautiful day. You can be disappointed by your family without deciding that your life has no meaning. So the next time a difficult emotion comes over you, don't immediately fight it. Stop and say, this is sadness, or this is fear, or this is loneliness. Then remind yourself, I am feeling this, but I am not this feeling. That little bit of distance can give you strength. And when you learn to become a safe place for your own emotions, you don't need someone else to constantly reassure you that you're going to be okay. That brings us naturally to the second thing seniors should learn to rely on: financial simplicity. I've known people with plenty of money who were constantly worried. And I've known people with very modest finances who slept peacefully because their financial lives were simple. As we get older, I've come to believe that peace is often more valuable than having more. When you're younger, it's easy to keep adding things to your life. Another account, another credit card, another subscription, another purchase, another bill. But every extra thing also gives you something else to manage and remember. Financial clutter can quietly become emotional clutter. Maybe you have bills sitting unopened on the kitchen table. Maybe you're paying for services you don't even use anymore. Maybe you have several accounts that have become difficult to keep track of. None of these things seems huge by itself, but together they can create a constant feeling that something might go wrong. I've seen older people become afraid to open their own mail because they expect another complicated bill. One woman I knew decided to simplify everything after her husband passed away. She organized her accounts, canceled unnecessary expenses, reduced the number of cards she used, and made her monthly finances easier to understand. She didn't suddenly become wealthy, but she told me something that stayed with me. She said, I don't have more money than before. I just don't feel afraid of my money anymore. That's what financial simplicity can give you. Control. So, don't try to fix everything at once. This week, choose one unnecessary, recurring expense and cancel it. Organize one drawer of financial papers. Look at one account you've been avoiding. One small step is enough. You don't need to become a financial expert. You simply need to understand your own life. The less financial confusion you carry, the more room you have in your mind for peace. And once you've begun creating that calm inside your mind and stability in your practical life, there's another foundation you must protect because it directly affects your independence. That brings us to the third thing, physical mobility. When you're young, you rarely think about how valuable simple movement is. You get out of a chair without thinking. You walk upstairs. You carry groceries. You go wherever you want. Then one day, you notice that getting out of a low chair takes a little more effort. Maybe your legs feel weaker. Perhaps you stop taking walks because you're afraid of falling. You start avoiding outings because you don't think you can keep up. And slowly, your world becomes smaller. I've learned that movement in old age isn't simply about exercise. It's about freedom. Every safe step you take is a small investment in your independence. You don't have to run or lift heavy weights. You don't have to compete with the person you were 40 years ago. You simply need to keep moving according to what your body can safely handle today. I remember an older gentleman who walked every morning with a cane. His steps were slow, but he never missed his walk. One morning, I asked him why he was so determined. He looked at me and said, "Because I don't want to wake up every morning waiting for somebody else to help me." That sentence has stayed with me for years. Your mobility doesn't have to be perfect to be valuable. Maybe you can walk for 20 minutes. Maybe it's 10. Maybe you need a cane, a walker, or someone nearby for safety. That's all right. Start where you are. Move safely and consistently. If you're unsure what kind of activity is appropriate for you, talk with your healthcare professional. The goal isn't to become young again. The goal is to preserve as much independence as you reasonably can, and please don't underestimate the small things. Walking around your home, stretching gently, standing up regularly, or taking a short walk outside can all be meaningful steps towards staying engaged with your own life. Because when you protect your ability to move, you're protecting more than your muscles. You're protecting your confidence, your freedom, and your ability to make choices for yourself. And now we've reached something even deeper. Emotional resilience helps you carry life's losses. Financial simplicity helps you quiet unnecessary worries. Physical mobility helps you preserve your independence. But there is still something inside you that must guide you when everything around you begins to change. That is where we will go next with number 4, your personal code of values. This is something I didn't fully understand until I had already lived through many chapters of my life. When we're young, much of our identity comes from the roles we have. We are someone's son or daughter, someone's husband or wife, a parent, a worker, a manager, a teacher, a neighbor. We have responsibilities waiting for us every morning, and those responsibilities tell us who we are. But then one day retirement comes, the children grow up, a spouse may pass away. The job that occupied most of your waking hours is suddenly behind you, and you can find yourself sitting quietly in the morning, asking a question you haven't asked in decades. Who am I now? I have seen people struggle deeply with that question. They begin looking outside themselves for someone to give them purpose. They wait for their children to call. They wait for grandchildren to visit. They wait for someone to tell them that they are still important. But the older I get, the more I believe that your sense of worth has to come from somewhere deeper than other people's attention. You need something inside you that says, "This is who I am, and this is how I choose to live." That is your personal code. It doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, I think the best personal values are often very simple. Tell the truth. Be kind. Keep your word. Don't hold grudges longer than necessary. Treat people with respect. Take responsibility for your mistakes. Leave something a little better than you found it. Those simple principles can become a compass when life becomes confusing. I once met an older gentleman who told me he had 5 rules he tried to follow every day. He said he always tried to speak honestly without being cruel. He returned things he borrowed. He forgave people quickly because he didn't want to spend his remaining years carrying old anger. He tried to be useful whenever he could. And before going to bed, he asked himself whether he had treated people well that day. He wasn't wealthy or famous, but there was something peaceful about him. He knew who he was. He didn't need everybody to approve of him because he had already decided what kind of man he wanted to be. That's the freedom a personal code can give you. Your children may disagree with you. Your friends may misunderstand you. Someone may criticize you. Someone may fail to call when they promised. Someone may not appreciate what you've done for them. Those things can hurt. Of course, we're human, but they don't have to determine your value. When you know what you believe and how you want to live, you become much harder to shake. You stop asking what will make everyone else happy and start asking, what is the right thing for me to do? And those are very different questions. So here's a little exercise I want you to try. Take a piece of paper and write at the top what I believe in. Then write down 3 simple rules that you want to live by for the rest of your life. They don't need to sound impressive. Maybe yours will be kind even when I'm tired. Maybe never go to bed holding unnecessary anger. Maybe stay curious. Maybe take care of what I have. These words are not just sentences on paper. If you actually live by them, they become an internal support system. And unlike many things in life, nobody can take them away from you. Now, there is one final thing I want to talk about, and in some ways, I believe it brings everything else together. Number 5 is a consistent health routine. I've learned that health is rarely protected by one dramatic decision. Most of the time, it's protected by small things we do repeatedly. Too many people wait until something goes wrong before they begin paying attention. They wait for a frightening test result, a fall, a serious warning from their doctor, or a health crisis before they decide that their body deserves their attention. But by then, you're reacting to a problem, instead of caring for yourself every day. A routine doesn't have to be difficult. It can be remarkably ordinary. Wake up around the same time, drink some water, take your medications as prescribed, move your body, eat regular meals, get enough rest, keep your appointments, spend a little time outside, do a few gentle stretches if they're appropriate for you. These actions may not seem exciting, but there is tremendous power in doing simple things consistently. When I was younger, I wanted complicated solutions. I thought if something was going to make a difference, it had to be difficult. Age has changed my thinking. Now I appreciate boring habits. Boring habits can save you a lot of trouble. When you have a routine, you don't have to make 20 decisions every morning. You don't have to wonder whether you should take your walk today. You don't have to depend entirely on somebody else remembering things for you. Your routine becomes part of your life. I knew an older man who had followed essentially the same morning routine for years. He would wake up, make himself a cup of tea, take his prescribed medication, do a few gentle exercises, eat breakfast, and then walk around his neighborhood. When I asked him why he was so disciplined, he gave me an answer I thought was beautiful. He said, "Because every morning I want to remind myself that I'm still worth taking care of." Think about that for a moment. His routine wasn't simply about preventing illness. It was an expression of self-respect. And that's really what all 5 of these things have been leading us toward. Emotional resilience teaches you how to carry difficult feelings without being destroyed by them. Financial simplicity helps you remove unnecessary worry from your life. Physical mobility helps you protect your independence. A personal code of values gives you an inner compass when the world around you changes. And a consistent health routine reminds you every single day that your life is still worth caring for. None of this means you should reject your family. Please don't misunderstand me. Love your children. Appreciate your grandchildren. Call your friends. Accept help when you need it. There is absolutely nothing wrong with depending on people sometimes. We are human beings and we need one another. But there is a difference between receiving love and making another person responsible for your entire sense of security. That's the distinction I want you to remember. Your daughter may not call every day, but you can still have a meaningful day. Your son may live thousands of miles away, but you can still take care of yourself. A friend may move away, but you can still build new connections. Your body may become slower, but you can still move it safely. You may lose people you love, but you can still carry their memory while continuing to live your own life. And you may wake up one morning feeling uncertain about the future. But you can still ask yourself, what is one good thing I can do for myself today? After living this long, I can tell you that I no longer believe independence means doing everything alone. That's not independence. True independence means knowing that you can participate in your own life. It means taking responsibility for the things you can control while accepting that some things will always be outside your control. You cannot control whether your children call. You cannot control what other people think of you. You cannot control every change that comes with aging, but you can influence how you care for your body. You can simplify what is making your life unnecessarily complicated. You can practice how you respond to difficult emotions. You can choose your values. And you can create daily routines that support the person you want to remain. So before we finish, I want you to choose just one thing from everything we've talked about today. Don't choose 5, choose 1. Maybe tomorrow you'll take a 10-minute walk. Maybe you'll cancel one subscription you don't use. Maybe you'll write down 3 values that matter to you. Maybe you'll create one simple morning habit. Or maybe you'll simply sit quietly for a few minutes and acknowledge a feeling you've been trying to avoid. Whatever you choose, make it small enough that you can actually do it. Because a small promise kept to yourself is more powerful than a huge promise you never keep. And if you feel comfortable, tell me in the comments what that one commitment is. You never know who may read your comment and realize they're not the only person trying to build a stronger, more peaceful life. And if this conversation meant something to you, I'd be grateful if you would give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. We're building a community of older people who understand that getting older doesn't mean giving up. It means learning what truly matters. And if there's someone in your life who needs to hear this message, share it with them. Sometimes a few minutes of encouragement can arrive in someone's life at exactly the right moment. Thank you, my friend, for spending this time with me. I know there are many places you could have been, and I truly appreciate you sitting here and listening to an old man share a few lessons that took him many years to learn. Please take good care of yourself. Be patient with your body, be gentle with your heart, and don't forget that your life still has value, purpose, and meaning. Until we meet again, stay safe, stay strong, and keep taking one good step at a time. I'll see you in the next video. Take care, my friend, and goodbye for